Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, a.k.a. Slim Cliffy. Joining me for the next hour to break down Robbie's big win last night, our single-entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing pretty well. I made the mistake. I don't like to log in during the middle, but I was like, I want to see what the GPPs are like for Tuesday. Or is today Tuesday? Yeah, today's Tuesday. And I logged in, and I had a lot of early players. And I logged in, and I was first in everything I was in. I had like 5-figure winnings, and then I held through until like the third period of Calgary. They just got all their bonuses, and I dropped like a stone, but it was good though. It was funny because I used Dallas 1 instead of Calgary 1. If I had a second lineup, I would have had the exact same lineup with Calgary 1 instead of Dallas 1, and we would be talking about how I just missed the Hall of Fame because NHL GPPs are crap, and I wouldn't hit the 5,000 man requirement. But it was a good night for some people in our chat, and that makes me happy as well.
Yeah, it definitely was. Got a shout out. Robbie, longtime user here at Awesemo, took down, I believe it was the $12 single entry for 2K last night over on Draft. It was that or the 20 max. I forget which one it was.
Robbie?
Yeah.
It was the 33 on FanDuel, I think.
Oh, no, it was on DK, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was either the 20 max or the $12 SE. I'm pretty sure it's a $12 single entry. Regardless, congrats to Robbie on his 2K takedown last night. It's always nice waking up and you get those tweets in the morning from people who won the night before. So attaboy, Robbie. Hope he sent our boss Alex Baker a tweet a couple weeks ago asking for some inspiration, and Alex sent him back a Rocky quote about getting hit and keep moving forward. And it seems Robbie has taken that to heart. He had, I think, a top 3 that night. And of course, last night with the takedown. So congrats, Robbie. Hopefully we have more winners here tonight. It was kind of a weird slate last night because like Colorado had that monster total at home and didn't really do a whole lot. But then Calgary and Minnesota absolutely blew the doors off last night. I know some people were frustrated with Minnesota because the top line really didn't do a whole lot, but I think we kind of like Minnesota is kind of finally starting to assemble their final form, right? Like they've had defensemen injured for a long time. Joel Eriksson Ek missed a few weeks there at one point. Ryan Hartman has missed some games. Matt Boldy, who's really lengthened this lineup scoring wise, just got called up a few weeks ago. It kind of looks like they're rounding into another cup contender out west. What do you think of the Wild, from a real standpoint, but more or less from a DFS perspective?
Yeah, especially when they're at home too. Like they're a really brutal matchup in Minnesota because you're going to get the Joel Eriksson Ek line. And Marcus Foligno has 17 goals this season. So like they have 3 lines who can score. That fourth line, Duhamin, or I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm phonetically trying to spell it. And
I think it's just Duhaime. I think
Duhaime, yeah. Like their fourth line, like Strom and Duhaime, like not the worst fourth line in the NHL. So like they're pretty deep. Like they still have a couple injuries on the blue line, but honestly, like getting Ryan Hartman, they got him for like 2 years, $2.5 million total. Like that is one of the best deals in the NHL right now.
Yeah, him and Eriksson Ek as your 1-2. I don't think Eriksson Ek is very expensive either. That's not bad. And then you got Marco Rossi probably as your third line center for the playoffs into next year. Yeah, they do have 3 lines that can score now. And when they're at home and can use that shutdown line, it really frees up that top line. They didn't smash last night, but I'm sure there will be some other slates in the very near future where they do. I want to give a special shout out to Yahoo Fantasy. Yahoo has been our sponsor the entire season. They help us bring this show on a regular basis, and we do have a special giveaway through Yahoo Fantasy. So stick around if you're a first-time Yahoo Fantasy user and you want, or Yahoo DFS Fantasy user, and you want to get maybe some free cash or for some free site credit or what have you. We do have a special Yahoo giveaway a little later on. And I see over 80 people in the chat. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys could, please throw us a like and a subscribe. Those likes and subscribes really help us look good for our bosses. They help us grow this channel. And it's just a small little favor that we ask of you guys, and click that bell if you do want alerts whenever we do go live on the air. Free premium tools and data up on the site for today. We usually do almost every day, today being no exception. We have NBA ownership rankings, we have our NHL player rankings, and we have our PGA top golfers all live up on the site. So check it out, whether you're playing NBA or NHL tonight or PGA this week. We have some stuff that can help you up on the site. So check out awesemo.com and go look at our free premium tools and data, which are NBA ownership rankings, NHL player rankings, and our PGA top golfers for this week. All right. We have 8 games to get to tonight. I'm not going to dilly-dally around these games too much longer because there's, it feels like every single game is very important. It's not often that really happens on a slate. Sometimes you have 8 or 9 games. There's a couple of games you can kind of just bypass. It really feels like there's something important to talk about in every game here. So let's make sure we take our time. Buffalo is our first game that we're going to talk about. They have a 2.7 implied goal total. They're going into Ottawa. The Ottawa Senators have a 3.4 implied goal total. Couple notes here. One is Alex Tuck wasn't at practice yesterday, but they said it was just some sort of maintenance day and he should be skating tonight on the top line. Just beware of that. Like we've seen coaches say like a player's take, like I remember, I think Mark Stone took 2 maintenance days in a row and then it's like, oh, sorry, he's out for 3 weeks now. It's like, coaches tend to lie when it comes to health, which, I won't get into that right now. But Ottawa has also broken up their lines. They've moved Zach Sanford to the top line and Drake Batherson down to the second line with Tim Stützle and your boy, Alex Formenton. I wrote up Tage Thompson in the Power Plays article this morning for various reasons. I think there's stuff to play on both sides here. What do you like, Josh?
Yeah, so we were talking before the show about how Ottawa is going to match with these new lines, and not that it's a huge deal because it's not like Buffalo has a shutdown line. But I would imagine we were looking back through logs of Buffalo's last home game when they broke up, or not Buffalo's last home game, Ottawa's last home game when they broke up, when they put Norris Tkachuk and Nick Paul up there instead of Batherson. They avoided the top comp. So chances are Tim Stützle, Batherson, Formenton are going to see the Tage Thompson line. And, as good as the Tage Thompson line is offensively, they're around 50% shot share, maybe a little bit under that, but they're giving up 14 high danger chances against per 60 and an expected goals against of 3.12. And that's a 175-minute sample. So it's just not like, oh, this is like 4 games. This is like a big sample. So, you can like Buffalo one tonight, and I do as well. I just think, that Stützle line, it's going to be pretty high event, that matchup. So I think having both sides, the Thompson line and Stützle line, they're both in play for me. I do worry about, like Stützle, Batherson being over 14%. But it is a 3.4 total. That line fairly cheap. Formenton, 3,400. The reason I like him so much, like even more now, is he gets secondary power play time. He plays on the PK. He has a good shot rate. And for 3,400, he has a chance to get you the shot bonus. So, and if he hits the score sheet good, this is a very good matchup. I do just worry about ownership here. You want to go to that top line, I think that's fine as well. Norris Tkachuk, getting, Middlestad or Dylan Cousins. Like, it doesn't really matter. Their numbers aren't great. I don't know what Sanford is going to do for their numbers, but, and they're coming in around 14% too. So, like, I'd rather play the guys around 14% that I know have been playing better, and that's Stützle, Formenton. So I'm on Ottawa 2 and Buffalo 1 in this game.
Yeah, Buffalo 1 is where I want to start here because, as I mentioned, I did write about Tage Thompson in the Power Plays article. Up at awesemo.com right now, free to read. Tage Thompson it's weird. Not a lot of centers are the trigger men on their line, right? And not that Tage Thompson necessarily is, because Jeff Skinner's still there. Jeff Skinner can score goals, but Tage Thompson's averaging like 3.2 shots on goal per game this year. Like, he very well could be the trigger guy on that top line. So I do like the idea, if you don't want to stack Buffalo on the road going into Ottawa, 2.7 total, maybe you want to go to Dallas or Vegas or something like that. I think Tage Thompson, perfect as a one-off in tournaments here tonight, but I would probably use him in that line, like Zach Sanford on the top line hasn't done anything for Ottawa. 44% shot share, 41% of the scoring chances. We're talking a small sample, like I think it's 40 to 50 minutes. But the Ottawa top line hasn't been good defensively almost at any point in their iteration, right? I wouldn't expect Zach Sanford to all of a sudden make them this great defensive line. That's not what they're about. So I think Buffalo's top six as an entirety is in play here, because I think that Buffalo second line could outplay Ottawa 1 here tonight, but it's Buffalo 1 that I'm focusing on more. It is definitely Tuck, as long as he plays. Just watch out for that maintenance thing. Tuck, Thompson, and Skinner. And it's, taking advantage of the penalty kill as well. Ottawa penalty kill's gotten better, but still amongst the most penalized teams in the NHL. And, if you're going to take 4 or 5 penalties against almost any team, you're going to allow a fair amount of goals. And you've seen that be a problem for them all year. So Buffalo 1. I'm with you on Ottawa 2. Batherson and Stützle this year, if I'm not mistaken, it's like a 58% scoring chance share in their sample, which is that's significant. On a team that's 48% basically across the board, that's fairly significant. So I'm with you on Ottawa 2. It's just that it's that matchup against Buffalo 1. So where I'm 20 maxing tonight, I'm not going to play both of them because it feels like cannibalizing lineups. I'm going to have to pick one or the other. I would go with Buffalo. If I'm just taking one line out of this game, I would probably go with Buffalo 1. Good leverage. They're going to get a ton of minutes against a bad, or on the penalty, or on the power play against that penalty kill, I should say. So Buffalo 1, but I also like Ottawa 2 as a filler here tonight. Like you said, if you're going to get a line that's coming in the teens for ownership, you want the line that is going to play well. And I feel better about that line as well. On the blue line, I think, the obvious guys are definitely in play here. Your Dahlin's, your Shabat's obviously in play. If you're correlating, Dahlin's price is starting to get up there at 5,700. Your boy, the Zub, 3,500. Not sure if there's the shot volume that you want in this game for shot blocks. What do you think about defensemen?
Brandstrom's out, so I wonder who moves up to play with Chabot. And if it's the Zub.
That's my guess. That's my guess.
Yeah. So and also I'm kind of interested who's going to see power play 2 time. I would expect Victor Meatsweats Matei might get it, or Holden, but or it could be Lassie, right? Lassie Thompson. But we'll see. If Zub moves up with Chabot, he's in play. Dahlin is fine. Chabot's fine, especially if you're correlating. Robert Hagg maybe has more block shot upside than Zub. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe some Robert Hagg. I can kind of get behind that for a really cheap price. Could definitely run into 3 shots here on DraftKings tonight. All right, let's get to this next game. Dallas is going into New Jersey. Dallas has a 3.1 total. The New Jersey Devils have a 2.6 total. Dallas played last night. Jake Ottinger started, so it's almost certainly going to be Braden Holtby here tonight for Dallas. On the New Jersey side, they're going with AHL goalies, and it's going to be either John Gillies or Kira Schmid, and they're not telling us which one. And I was just laughing before we came on the show. Coaches are really trying to be secretive with all their lineups and all the injuries and everything. And it's hey, man, it doesn't really matter if it's your 3rd string AHL goalie or your 4th string AHL goalie. How is Dallas going to prep any differently for these guys? Anyway, I think there's stuff to play on both sides of this game. There's some good leverage on both sides of this game. So I think there's, we should take our time here. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, Akira Schmid has really good numbers in the AHL. Akira Schmid sounds like the guy who was with Captain Hook. Or is that Smee?
That's Smee. Yeah, I was going to say Akira Schmid sounds like maybe an anime out of Japan or something like that, a Japanese-American crossover. I don't know.
Yeah, well, anyway, Dallas back-to-back on the road. They snuck past the Flyers last night. It was a pretty ugly game, actually. I watched it, and I wish I didn't. But so, you can go back to Dallas 1 here. If you look in our top stack school, they have great leverage. They're going to get the Nico Hischier matchup. It's okay. That matchup's nothing to write home about. They're probably around the league average defensively. They're facing an AHL goalie, whether it's Gillies or Schmid. Schmid min price on DK. I think he's also min price on FanDuel too. So if he starts, that's going to be interesting. He's probably going to be pretty popular if he does start. But I think, the Devils take a lot of penalties too. Dallas won, fully correlated. The problem is New Jersey has a pretty good penalty kill, but if you give the Dallas power play, 4 or 5 opportunities, I think they can score here. It took Pavelski to get the empty net goal to get on the score sheet, get a bonus. So if he didn't hit the empty net, like Dallas one would have busted last night. So I think people have that fresh in their mind. I think they're going to come in a little bit low owned. That's really about it on Dallas for me. And with Heischer getting the hints line, like that frees up Jack Hughes, Sharon Govich, Jesper Bratt against Sagan, Ben, Guryanov. And it's back-to-back on the road. Sagan and Ben are not spring chickens anymore. And in an 89-minute sample, they are giving up 15 high-danger chances against and almost 3 expected goals against per 60. Couple that with the numbers on the huge Sharon Govich Bratt line, which are just outrageous. It is a smaller sample, but they have over 4 expected goals per 60. And they're coming in at 1-2% right now. So as it stands, like the leverage on that line is ridiculous. I really like NJ1 here. Also, like if you really want to like get punty, I don't know if you need to. Like, yeah, the NJ total is coming up a little bit, but it's still under 3 at home. But like Zaka Mercer 2-man for 6,600 going against like the bottom depth of the Stars makes for an interesting play. Just because the Dallas depth is really not great. Holtby back-to-back on the road. So, but really, my favorite line in this game is NJ1. I think you can go back to Dallas 1 in MMA for sure.
I'll start with New Jersey 3. I'm glad you mentioned them because there's not really there's not a Colorado 1 or something like that on this slate. Like there's not a 25K line, but there is one expensive line that we're going to talk about later that people might want to play, or maybe 2, depending if you want a power play stack. And that New Jersey 3 line is one that I think people can use. Mercer and Janssen have typically put up pretty good numbers this year. And you're going to get the 3rd and 4th lines from Dallas, which with their injuries and underperformance all year has really been one of the big problems from that team. So I think New Jersey 3 is one of those fillers. Like if you're playing Edmonton power play stack that we're going to talk about, or Florida 1 or Florida power play or whatever, I think this is one of those 3rd line stacks that you can go to. I agree with that. But it's the Hughes line that I want to focus on. I really, really, really like the fact that they're coming in with so much leverage. We have them as a 5% top 2 stack coming in with about 1.3% ownership. You mentioned their numbers this year. They've been really, really good together. In fact, they've had good numbers going back to last year, basically. And the other thing is Dallas does have a pretty good penalty kill, and they do take their fair share. They don't take a lot of penalties, but that kind of brings more New Jersey players into play for me because you don't have to focus specifically on the power play. To bring it back to those numbers that you talked about New Jersey's second line, over 60% of the shots and scoring chances when they're together this year. I really love that Hughes line here. Like you said, they're going to get the depth from Dallas. Want to mention Dennis Guryanov got benched last night, and I think in the last 4 games, he's been benched twice and healthy scratched once. So, I don't know if he's going to be even playing here tonight. Dallas. Yeah,
they moved up Riley Damiani.
Yeah. So I don't know it doesn't matter who moves up there. It's not going to make any difference. Just watch out for that line combination specifically. On the blue line, Damon Severson, with all of the New Jersey injuries, Damon Severson has been playing a ton of minutes of late. I think he's fine whether or not you're playing New Jersey here tonight. Anybody else stick out to you?
Not particularly. It's, the Dallas guys are still overpriced. I guess maybe Jonas Siegenthaler if you want some block shots, but Dallas doesn't shoot too much, so I think it's Severson or bust, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. 6,500 goalie on FanDuel. What do you think about that? If Akira Schmid starts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's going to be popular on both sites. If he starts, he's min-price. This is a very winnable game for New Jersey. So, I mean, I don't know if the volume's going to be there, but the win equity certainly is.
That's the thing. You don't really need that 35 save bonus when he's 6,500 instead of 7,400 or something like that. So, yeah, it really does open things up a little bit, especially with those expensive lines that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our top stacks, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. Of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Please note that Fantasy Cruncher is an add-on and can be easily added on to any of these packages at checkout, but it is not included in our base packages, though it is certainly a very valuable addition to your DFS arsenal. Stop guessing. Start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. All right, let's get to this next game. Arizona 2.1 total going into Pittsburgh. The Penguins have a 3.9 total. You and I were talking before the show about Pittsburgh 1. I have them in the Power Plays article as a line to use. We just did a top stacks run, and they've come up a little bit through the day, but they still have pretty good leverage coming in at 11% ownership. I think that ownership comes up even more, probably north of 15%, but that doesn't, even if they're 15 to 20%, I still think they're very much playable here. I don't think that's being over-owned. What do you think about this game, Josh?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the lowest owned, because people love playing Russ because he's always the cheapest. I think Jake Gensel might be the lowest owned of the three, or even Crosby, to be honest with you.
I think it might be Gensel, just because people typically like to play a center because you do need two centers. It's hard to find, you know what I mean? So I think, Crosby Russ will be more popular than Crosby Gensel.
Yeah, and you look at these lines on DraftKings tonight, Pittsburgh's 21.9, which is expensive, but not like Colorado in the 25s where you're searching immediately. You got Florida 1, who's on a getaway game at 23.4, which is just asinine. Then you have Dallas 1 at 20.5, and that's it in the 20K range. And then it drops. There's nothing in the 19s. There's nothing in the high 18s. It drops to 18.3. So there's lots of value tonight. So I have a hard time imagining Pitt 1 comes in under 15%. Like you said, I imagine they're closer to 20, even above 20. That being said, even if they are all 20%, that doesn't feel high considering this matchup. Arizona has the worst penalty kill in the league. Pittsburgh 1, my boy Evan Rodriguez isn't up there, but the iteration of Gensel, Crosby, Rust is still insane. They're very good. They're fully correlated. Yad and Letang, I think you can fit it. It's not there's super cheap lines where you can that are actually playable tonight. Not where you're oh man, this sucks. There's actual lines you can put with them with Letang and feel comfortable. So I think adding in Letang is an interesting way to get different, because I don't think people are going to want to do it because there's so many mid-range. I think people are going to go Pitt 1 and try to force in one of those 15K top lines. So I think adding in Letang is a nice way to get different. You want to go to Pitt 2 or even Pitt 3, I think that's fine. If you think the game's going to be a blowout, kind of how Minnesota was yesterday, I think getting some, Heinen, Kapanen, not a bad idea, or some Rodriguez, Carter, not a bad idea. The minutes on Carter Rodriguez are a bit worrisome, but if this game does get out of hand, I would imagine they see a little bit of a bump. So in MME, I think you can bump up Pitt 2 and Pitt 3 a little bit, just from, if you think it's going to be a blowout. But I'm all about Pitt 1 in this game. This is a great spot, one of the best on the night, if not the best. So Pitt 1 for me. On the Arizona side, their normal quote-unquote shutdown line is out tonight. They're hurt or on the COVID list. Not that that makes a huge difference, but going to Keller, Boyd, Schmaltz, in MME, definitely not in 1 to 3, but they're cheap enough where you can get a little bit over the field. Even in 20 max, going 1 to 20, you're going to get 4 times the field there. I think, it's a very low total on the road, but they have been okay. So, Schmaltz being 2,700, Boyd is 3K. Just from a price perspective, getting in, if you want to play Florida 1, you can get them in with that Arizona second line. And, Keller's been their best player. So, not super thrilled about anything on Arizona 1 to 3 or even close to 20. But, the more lines you build, I think you can have a little bit of Arizona.
Yeah, it's. I was looking earlier to see if this was Phil Kessel's first return to Pittsburgh because the COVID season 2019-20 was cut short, and then 2021 was a weird year. Now it's actually his second game, so I don't know if we can do the whole revenge narrative thing. And I'm wondering how they match up here too. Like, do they send out Crosby out against Kessel, or do they send out Crosby out against Keller? My guess is that it's the Keller line. It does make a difference because I'd rather have that Malkin matchup on the second line than the Pittsburgh top line. But obviously I'm fine with Pittsburgh one in this game. Like I said, I have them written up in my power plays article from this morning. What I said, what I said in that article is since Christmas, the Coyotes are near the bottom in every penalty kill metric except for actual goals against, and that's because their goaltending has just been outstanding. You can't rely on outstanding goaltending on the penalty kill. It just doesn't last. Let me believe you. It just doesn't last. So Pittsburgh power play stack, Pittsburgh one, something like that. That's where I am. I'm not super high on Arizona. I just think Schmaltz is going to go into the teeth of that matchup. Like, I get playing them. I think in 150 I'd get there. I don't even know if in 20 max I'm going to get there tonight. Yeah. It's just I think there are other lines kind of around that spot that I would rather play. We'll talk about one in a couple of games from now, like Philly 2. I think I'd rather play Philly 2 in that spot. But anyway,
yeah.
That's my thought on that thing. Looking at the blue line, not a whole lot I want from this blue line really on either side. Like, I guess Janice Moser stuffed under 3K might be fine for Arizona. Same thing with, Gostisbehere's price has come down quite a bit, and he's on power play one, but I just don't really like any defenseman. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really am thrilled about anything outside of correlating with Tang. Like, people play Brian Dumoulin just because he gets so many minutes. He doesn't do too much with those minutes, but sometimes he does. Maybe it's a Dumoulin night, but I don't know. I'd probably just stick to correlating with Letang.
Yeah, I can agree with that. All right, let's move along to the next game. Vegas, 2.6 implied goal total. They're going to Carolina. The Hurricanes have a 3.5 implied goal total. Vegas missing Riley Smith, obviously still missing. I shouldn't say that because they had a bunch of guys travel with them on this trip, right? Like Mark Stone traveled with them. Max Pacioretty traveled with them. So on any given night, any of these players could return, but Pacioretty, Stone, Smith expected out. They have a couple defensemen missing from the lineup, even though Shea Theodore and Alex Pietrangelo are still expected to play. Teuvo Teravainen is a game time decision. They're saying he's going to take warm-ups, but as one of the beat writers noted, he took warm-ups in a game over the weekend and then didn't play. So even if he's in warm-ups, there's no guarantee that he'll play tonight. And that's a pretty big note in a game worth a 3.4 total. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah. At least it's a 7 o'clock. I thought this game got flexed to 7:30 Eastern, but it's at 7. It kind of is a big deal because I'm trying to figure out who moves up. And I should remember it was probably going to be Nito Niederreiter.
I think it would be Nino.
So as it stands, Aho is probably going to get the Carlson line. Just all right, that's fine. I think I prefer Carolina 1 to Carolina 2 if Teravainen plays, and I'll just for a number of reasons. Andrei Svechnikov's price is broken on DraftKings. He's 4,600.
I couldn't believe that this morning. What is going on?
That had to be a fat finger mistake.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that in chat earlier. What's with the cheap price on Svechnikov? I just let it go because I don't have an answer.
Yeah. I'm I know Jake's going to watch this segment and just smile, but they're going to get the Stevenson matchup, and the Stevenson-Dadonov, Wild Bill, Carrier line, their numbers are ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't get it. I know they got shut out or they won 1-0 yesterday, but their numbers are so good. I don't want to play a line coming in, double digits, getting a pretty bad matchup. I think I'd rather go to Aho, Teravainen, and Jarvis here. Teravainen's price is down to 5,100. Aho's been in the 8Ks. Jarvis is 3,300. So they're not much more expensive than that Trocheck line. And they're in a little bit better matchup. Riley Smith is a pretty good two-way forward. Matthias Janmark at this point in his career. not great defensively. So I think going to Aho, Teravainen, assuming he's in, and Jarvis is where I want to go in Carolina. If Teravainen's out and, Niederreiter moves up there, that could be an interesting, like extremely low 3-man if it is Niederreiter, because, chances are like Teravainen's going to take the warm-ups and we won't know until like 2 minutes before lock if he's in or out. So like if you're in front of the computer, want to scramble and he's out, you want to scramble in some Niederreiter, Aho, Jarvis, I think that's going to be a really, really, really low-owned 3-man. But, if you want to play Carolina too, I just think that's fine. Like I kind of like the Stevenson Dadonov Carrier matchup as a filler on that side. So for this game, I'm Carolina 1, assuming Turbo's in, and the Stevenson line on Vegas.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Carolina here because, as Josh Anderson, got to get this win message mentioned in chat, Steven Lorenz has been moved up to the top line before. I still think it would be Nino Niederreiter, but it makes a difference because if you look at the pricing, Teravainen is on DraftKings. Teravainen is 5,100, Niederreiter's 3,600, and Lorenz is 2,500. Like there's over $1,000 separating all those players, so it's not like you can just straight swap one to the other and just move along. I mean, you could, but then you're leaving a lot of salary on the table. So, like, I think it's really tough to say exactly what to do here. I imagine a lot of people are, like you said, are just going to play Carolina 2, 1, because they're so cheap. And 2, because exactly what the line combination is going to be. Like, I think something you can do is, play Aho and Jarvis and then put a defenseman or something like that in your utility. And then, if you need to swap out, you can. If you don't want to, then you can just go with a defenseman in the util, which is obviously just fine. I think there are definite ways to get unique with Carolina. Not even unique, but just to slam them in and to have them low owned. It's just going to take some work at warm up, and it's whether or not people want to scramble, and try to fix 20 lines in 5 minutes or something like that, because you may have to do that here tonight. So I still like Carolina 1, almost regardless of the iteration here. Carolina 2, obviously just fine as well. On the Vegas side, probably nothing for me. I kind of like that the old Misfit line, the Carlson, Marchessault Smith line. They're coming in with very good leverage. One thing that really bothers me is Marchessault's price. And I get it because he's been shooting a lot, but man, 7,200. He's only $700 in Kyle Connor. And Kyle Connor is by far the best winger play on this entire slate. I want to play that Vegas line, but it's only if I play them entirely as a trio. Like, I'm not just playing Carlson, Marchessault or something like that. I think Marchessault's price just way too high. It's ridiculous for what he's actually done. He's had a good season, don't get me wrong, but he's not Jake Gensel, he's not Kyle Connor, and he's not anywhere as close to Jonathan Huberdeau. I'm sorry. Like, you know what I mean?
Would you rather play 7,200 Marchessault or 6,400 Brian Rust? Like, come on.
Right? I'd rather, or 4,800 or whatever, Andrei Svechnikov. Like, his price is just completely broken. I don't know if they've moved it in a month.
He was 7,200 yesterday too.
I like that line. It's just his price is completely broken on DraftKings. So then do with that what you will. On the blue line, I think there's guys that we can play here from both sides, especially with the injuries, to Martinez and Whitecloud and all that. So I think Alex Pietrangelo. I honestly think Pietrangelo at 7K makes sense because he's a double bonus threat tonight. I think for sure. Shea Theodore 6,200 just fine. Is there any cheaper Vegas defenseman that you're specifically targeting here? What do you like?
I don't mind Nick Hague. It's just I don't know because yesterday I said Dylan Coughlin if Alec Martinez is out, but then I forgot Hague came back in. Like, we don't like Alec Martinez traveled, so he could theoretically be in tonight. So I think I'm just going to stick to Shea and Pietrangelo just because, like, Carolina takes a ton of penalties. So I want that power play time, and they're obviously their best guys. Like, if you want – the thing is, like, okay, maybe Braden McNabb at 3K because Carolina is a high shot team, so McNabb could definitely get the block bonus, but I'd rather spend up.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you've played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, and that can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including the NFL $500,000 Sunday Baller with $100K to first and $50,000 everyone wins playoff special. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. All right, next game. Philly, 2.1 implied goal total going into New York. The Islanders have a 3.1 implied goal total. One of those depth lines that I mentioned earlier that we could play in around the 10K mark is that Philly 2 line that I did mention. Konechny, Lindblom, Lawton coming in at 11,100 on DraftKings. They're one of the lines I'm looking at, but obviously this isn't a great matchup. They're a back-to-back on the road. The Islanders have a high total, so there might be something to play up and down their own lineup. What do you think about this game, Josh?
Yeah, Hart started yesterday, so it's probably our boy Party Marty in that for the Flyers. And the Islanders at home will send out JG Pajot against the top comp, so he's going to see, Claude Giroux, that line. That frees up Barzal, Lee, and your boy, Austin Cesarnik, going up against probably Morgan Frost, Max Willman, and Jerry Mayhew. So that is a really, really good matchup for Islanders 1 here. The problem is, what has happened to Anders Lee? Injuries maybe have caught up to him in his career.
Remember he did have that catastrophic knee injury last year.
That was brutal. That was ugly.
He missed the entire season from that injury onward. Yeah. So, maybe he's not all the way back yet.
Yeah. The good news is he's only 4,300. Barzal's 5,600. Cesarnik's min price. Barzal and Lee are on the top power play. So, I really like Islanders 1 here, and they're coming in, about half of the ownership of this Islanders second line, Bouvillier, Nelson, Bailey, who's going to get the Lawton, Konechny, Lindblom matchup, which to the eyes, oh, that's a really good matchup for Islanders too. But you dig into their numbers a little bit, and you've mentioned it since Christmas. The Lawton line has been very good. I'll let you say those numbers. So, and the Islanders just have not been a good team. I'm sorry, they're just not good. They've been bad defensively. They've disappeared offensively at times. So I think for me, Islanders 1 for me is fine. Islanders 2 coming in at almost 13%. I just don't want anything to do with them. If Brock Nelson beats me, Brock Nelson beats me. That's just the attitude I have to have. I'm not gonna be oh man, I have to play them, because that's where it gets you in trouble in DFS. Groupthink is some of the worst things in the world for DFS. I don't like the line. I'm not gonna play him. I'm going to go to Lee, Barzal, Cesarnik in the bottom 6 matchup and hope, Anders Lee, tips a shot in on the power play like he's known for. Islanders fans remind you all the time, especially Rangers fans. But Chris Kreider, best net front in the NHL. Sorry, I know you're a Habs fan. We had the Kreider running price thing yesterday. We all let it go. Woosah, captain. Remember your pressure points. But for me, Islanders 1. I honestly, I said it yesterday, I do like the 2-mana Konechny, Lindblom. If you want to add in Lawton, he's not going to kill you. He doesn't get power play time. But Travis Konechny, Oscar Lindblom for 8K is a solid 2-man, getting that Nelson Bouvillier Bailey matchup, which honestly has not been that good.
Yeah, it's the Philly 2 line I want to talk about. And you mentioned how good their numbers have been. This is what they've done since Christmas. 71 shot attempts per 60 minutes with a 56% shot share, 39 scoring chances per 60 minutes with 58% share of the scoring chances. They've been really, really good. And they're cheap. You don't need this line to score 4 goals, right? Or three goals even. To have some value. You just need a couple goals out of them, maybe Konechny an assist and the shot bonus, the other 2 guys score, whatever you have there. So you mentioned that Islanders second line. The nicest thing you can say about that Islanders second line is their break even in their last 40 minutes, which is, 3 or 4 games worth. They've been playing well for a week. Like, that's the nicest thing you can say about them at this point. So I think Philly too definitely is a nice filler here tonight for your super expensive Edmontons or Floridas or Pittsburghs or what have you. But it is Islanders one that I wrote up in the Power Plays article. It is Islanders one that is my favorite line in this game. They are coming in a little bit over-owned, but I mentioned Austin Czarnik. I think he's an underrated player. He's good defensively. He's a good playmaker. You mentioned Lee, his problems this year. He has had his problems, but at his price, he doesn't need 2 goals anymore, like to have significant DFS value. 1 goal and a few shots really gets us there, right? So Barzal, Lee, Czarnik, like them against the depth of – that's the other thing to mention here. They don't match top lines, like you said. They're going to get the bottom 6. So Islanders 1, Philly 2. On the blue line, Noah Dobson's price just completely fell off the map, down to 40. I think it dropped $1,000 in one game. So, yeah, I'll take some Noah Dobson or maybe Adam Pellet for $2,900. What do you think?
Yeah, if you need a punt, like that top pair of Pellick Mayfield is completely fine. But, if you're playing Islanders 1 especially, Noah Dobson definitely makes sense. And on the Flyer side, Justin Braun maybe for some block shots, but I'm not itching to get some Flyers. It's funny because Mike is our producer yesterday is a Flyers fan. Of course, we had nice things to say about the Flyers today. He's nowhere to be found. Tyler's behind the glass moving the cameras around. So poor Mike.
Yeah, poor Mike. Maybe we should clip some of the nice things that we're saying so he can see them on Twitter or something like that. Next game, Florida, 3.5 implied goal total going into Winnipeg. The Jets have a 2.9 implied goal total. All right, this is a big one because we have the Florida top line as one of the best lines on the entire slate. In fact, we have the Florida top line as the second highest top 2 stack percentage on the entire slate, but they're 23,400 as a 3-man unit on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel, a little bit more reasonable at 24,700. Coming in with great leverage. They're going to get the Winnipeg top line as a matchup, and I don't know if people have seen Blake Wheeler's defensive numbers over the last couple of years, but boy, oh boy, are they bad. I get the exorbitant price here, Josh. I'm feeling very tempted just to make a bunch of mix and match Florida 1 lineups. What do you think about this game?
I wish like Florida 1 was coming in double digits so I could just be like, fade, we're done. But like the Florida Panthers are not a great road team. They have injuries. This is their getaway game. They've been on a long road trip, but they're going to get arguably the worst defensive top line in the NHL. Like Shifley and Wheeler together are, I don't even know the adjective. They're just so like Wheeler is just dustier than my ceiling fan right now on defense. So like it does make some sense, especially at their 1.5-2% ownership to get some Florida 1 in here. I don't know if Bennett's confirmed out or he's not playing or he is playing. Like he's probably, I think he's a game time decision. He's definitely banged up, but if it is Huberdeau, Barkov, Duclair, I think, because there's so many cheap lines today, I think, especially in MME and 1 to 3, like, I don't know if you need to play them. Getaway games worry me. Bad road teams worry me, but it is a 3.5 total. So if you're 20 maxing and you have 2 of 10 Florida 1, you're going to be like 5 times the field. And they're getting an elite matchup here. Winnipeg's penalty kill, still not great, but not awful. But like, again, that's more reason to play Florida 1. So I think, just from a leverage standpoint, Florida 1 makes a lot of sense tonight. 1 to 3, you're going to have to figure out if you can get comfortable with all the X factors, putting them in or whatever. But I definitely do like Florida 1. On the Winnipeg side, Shifley, Wheeler, Kopp going into that matchup, like I just don't want to play them. Like Barkov honestly should run them over. Forget like all the happenstance, like road, getaway game, this and that. this is advantage 4-1. I do really like Winnipeg 2 here. Kyle Connor, Dubois, Perfetti. Perfetti's not on the power play with Dubois and Connor, but for 2,900 and his, pedigree, I think, full stacking Winnipeg 2 here. It's perfectly fine. Bennett, if he's in, is banged up. Verhaeghe is a good two-way forward. Owen Tippett, nothing there really. And if Bennett's out, like that moves Lundell up or Reinhardt up, and that just, hurts them even more. So Winnipeg 2 for me. Florida 1, yeah, it's just there's a lot of factors in 1 to 3 lineups that maybe I'm going to fade them.
I will say I'm going to be very interested in Florida 1 here tonight because there are a lot of cheap defensemen and cheap lines that I like that don't have a lot of ownership. So that's what's going to get me to Florida 1. So in my 20 max, I think Florida 1 is going to be one of my core builds here tonight, just because they're coming in with such low ownership, and I trust my numbers and my build enough to find some cheap stacks, cheap defensemen, what have you, to get to some Florida 1. So I do like them. It's Winnipeg 2 I want to talk about real quickly. Kyle Connor has been playing over 23 minutes a game for 6 weeks. Like, that is crazy. I think it's like over the last 3 weeks, he's getting more ice time per game than Connor McDavid is in Edmonton. Like, it's absolutely absurd how much Kyle Connor has been playing of late. I really do like that Winnipeg second line going into the second line from Florida. I haven't been able to find anything about Sam Bennett yet, so we're going to have to wait probably on that a little bit more. But it doesn't matter who the second line center is. I like Connor and Dubois going into them. And as you know, on the other side, Florida 1, as I mentioned, small sample size, but they've been dominant, 57% shot share this year. So Florida 1, Winnipeg 2. On the blue line, I wrote up Brandon Montour in the Power Plays article this morning. I think he makes a lot of sense where this could be a high peripherals game. He's been playing 21, 22, 23 minutes with the injury to Gustav Forsling. So I like Montour for his price. Anybody else stick out to you on the blue line here?
Not really. I mean, Brendan Dillon, I always like if I'm going to play Hellebuck tonight, who I do like at 7,300 on DraftKings, I'll probably pair him with Brendan Dillon just because he blocks some shots, but it's really about it. I do like Montour. And if somehow you can spend up for Ekblad with Florida 1, which I don't know, like that's over 30K for 4 people. That's pretty spicy. But yeah, I like Ekblad if you can fit him in.
Yeah, maybe Ekblad might be the one-off night for Ekblad, like Ekblad plus Bobrovsky as a 2-man duo or something like that. I think might be a better play. Each day, this link will be. Each day, we like to celebrate the the winners here at Awesemo.com through our Awesemo Hall of Fame. And if you'd like to join the Awesemo Hall of Fame, this is how you do it. You download the Awesemo avatar from Awesemo.com/avatar. You place in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contestants, and you tweet those wins to the Awesemo Hoff account on Twitter. That's Awesemo HOF. You'll see some screenshots pop up here. D Lenny 24 took down 100K in NBA. That's not a bad night. See Zanye, I believe is his Twitter name, split first place in NFL Sunday Night Showdown. You'll see first place on Yahoo from the 50K baller over in NBA. You'll see Screaming Eagle taking down the NBA Dime Time. And of course, earlier we talked about Robbie taking down in NHL. So whether it's NBA, whether it's NFL, whether it's NHL, or whether you're ship my money playing PGA, we have winners across all sports. So send those winners in to the Awesemo Hoff account and you can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Just make sure you fit all the criteria on the screen. All right, let's get to these final 2 games. We have about 5 minutes to do it. That's plenty of time. We have Edmonton with a 3.4 implied goal total. They're going into Vancouver. The Canucks have a 3.0 implied goal total. JT Miller is expected to come back for Vancouver here tonight with Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser. They're going to be a line here. Tanner Pearson is out for Vancouver. He hit the COVID list. Ryan McLeod jumping to the top line with Connor McDavid. Some people seem excited about McLeod. He does have some wheels under him. Connor McDavid's similarly fast, but Michael Grabner is also fast, and I don't think Grabner would have played well with Connor McDavid. So what do you think about this game, Josh?
Yeah, Michael Grabner couldn't hit the net on a breakaway to save his career. But anyway, Nugent Hopkins and Zach Cassian also back tonight, and they're expected to be on a line together. If for some reason Edmonton gets down early, like McDavid's going to be playing with Nugent Hopkins and Cassian. If they leave, Fogle, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi together, unless they just go like, McDavid, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi, and they move Nugent Hopkins up to the second line center. I don't want to conjecture, get in the head of the Oilers coach. I really don't want to. I like my brain cells how they are. But if I'm going to play Edmonton tonight, I'm just going to do what I normally do. I'm going to power play stack him. I'm going to do, McDavid, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi. I think Nugent Hopkins could be an interesting play, especially if they show in warmups he is starting on the third line, but he's 4,500. I imagine he's going to be on the top power play. I would imagine he's going to move up at some point. So I think getting Nugent Hopkins in at 4,500 is a real interesting play. One off even for the Oilers. So, power play stacking. You want to go to that McLeod, McDavid, Yamamoto, go for it. I just can't get behind full stacking when it's not a really good combination for the Oilers. So I think, McDavid, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi, Nugent Hopkins are the guys that I want to get in my Oilers combinations. And then on the Canucks side, Pettersson, Miller, Besser, obviously going to have some interest for me. The newest run doesn't have JT Miller on that line, but I imagine they're going to be over-owned here, especially because they're not going to get McDavid. They'll probably get Draisaitl, Puljujarvi, Fogle, or even bottom six matchups. Because Brucey baby, for some reason, likes his Juho Lamikos and Tyler Motts of the world to go out against top comp. So, the problem is Pettersson, Miller, Besser, 2C, 1 wing on DraftKings, and they're only 15-7. So they're definitely going to be over leveraged because this is a really good spot. But, if you want to go to them, I think there are ways to get different. So Edmonton power play, Vancouver 1 for me from this game.
I do like Edmonton power play as well. I wrote up Leon Draisaitl and Evan Bouchard both in the power plays article for various reasons, but mostly center around the Vancouver penalty kill, which, bottom 10 or bottom 5 across every category since Christmas. They're pretty bad on the penalty kill. So I think Evan Bouchard makes a big difference on that top PP unit. He's by far their best puck mover. It's not even close. It is nowhere close. He is by far their best puck mover. I cannot believe it took this long for him to get the top power play slot.
And he scored 2 goals as soon as he gets there.
First game, he scores 2 goals on the power play. Oh, my God. I do like the Edmonton power play as well. I don't know if the lotto line is going to be super high owned just because, it is double center. It's late news on the slate. People may have their lineups already made, what have you. So, yeah, I'm with you on Vancouver 1, Edmonton power play. On the blue line, not a whole lot really sticking out to me. Quinn Hughes playing a lot of minutes of late. Obviously, Evan Bouchard, 4,500. Love him. Anybody else?
Why Vancouver going with the 3 wings, 2 defensemen on the top power play unit drives me nuts. But yeah, so Evan Bouchard, that's probably about it. If you want to punt Cody Ceci or Duncan Keith, that's fine, I guess. But Evan Bouchard, 4,500. Just fine. If you're playing Edmonton, find the salary to get Bouchard in.
Yeah. We have shows coming up through the rest of the day. Coming up right after us, we have the Yahoo NBA Live show with McCarthy and LaMarca, and then our NBA Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock starting at 5:30 Eastern with Laffy and Adam, and then our PGA Live Before Lock with Eric and Ben starts at 8 Eastern. Final game to get through. We'll get through it real quick. Nashville, 3.1 implied goal total going into Seattle. The Kraken at a 2.5 implied goal total. I'm in on Seattle 1 here tonight. The Nashville penalty kill has been just absolutely brutal. The depth hasn't been very good either. Even Nashville 1 as an entirety is falling off. So the only thing I'm taking out of this game is Seattle 1. What do you like, Josh?
I like both top lines, but the Nashville Predators penalty kill is top 3 worst in the NHL. Seattle 1 fully correlated, coming in at 2% and fairly cheap. They're 12-4 as a stack. I think they'll be a sneaky play tonight.
Yeah, should mention Nashville top line. Their numbers have fallen off since Christmas. That's one reason why I'm not super excited. They're literally a break-even line since Christmas. So, yeah, just Seattle 1 for me out of this game. All right. Josh, we got to get out of here, but I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies here. My hat trick pick for tonight is Jesper Bratt, and my goalies are Connor Hellebuck, Philip Grubauer, Laurent Brossoit from Vegas. Who you got?
I do like Hellebuck. Yeah, Brossoit for sure. If you want to spend up, okay, I'll preface this with if Schmid is playing, he's been priced. I like him. Spend up, maybe Matt Murray, but like spending up tonight doesn't really make sense. I'm gonna have to do it. Hat trick pick, Alex Formenton.
Oh, there we go. Finally, it finally came through. Alex Formenton and Jesper Bratt, your hat trick picks for tonight. All right, we're out of here. NBA coming up next for Tyler Xander, for Josh Harris. I'm saying good luck tonight, everybody, and I believe we'll be back tomorrow.